Good evening, Guardians. Welcome to the latest exciting episode of Short Pause Presents Tower Talk. I'm Ben. On the other side of the microphone, that's Brent. We're here representing Short Pause, of course. Follow us on Twitter at the Short Pause. Tower Talk is our Destiny-focused video discussion series where Brent and I hop on here and we talk any and everything in the world of Destiny. If you like what we do here, definitely like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell so you know when we always go live. Hop into the comments, leave comments on the video. We love to hear from and interact with you guys. So definitely be a part of the show if possible. And Brent, the day has finally arrived. So we've been building to this and building to this and building to this for months now. But the release of Destiny 2 Forsaken has arrived, and honestly, it went by very quickly. So Forsaken is here. It is out in the wild. We are out in the Tangled Shore. Some of us are in the Dreaming City. We are experiencing this game and all that it has to offer. And, you know, a couple days in, man, it's time for us to get out here and talk a little bit about this thing. Hey, how you feeling, man? like your normal look? Mm-hmm. Yeah. I actually had to do that when I came home today. I told my wife, I was like, I need to lay down for a minute. I really have to take like a power nap. So right before the show here, that's how I was doing my best to try to get a few minutes in and just laying down and try to recover a little bit just so I can function. But yeah, dude, when you get old, man, and you go a little bit longer than you should, it takes like days, sometimes weeks to recover and catch back up to where you need to be 100%. So yeah, these past few days have basically been a wreck. And I haven't even been going that late. You know, this all started Monday really when I stayed up later than I should have, trying to finish out an ornament set before season 3 finished up. And then, you know, from there it just got progressively worse. Last night was on, you know, an hour and a half, 2 hours longer than I was planning to be. So it's just like this stuff just builds up when you lose an hour here, you lose 2 hours there, maybe 3 hours here, and then by the time you get to the end of the week, you're missing like a day of sleep, and you gotta try and recover. But hey, man, that's what Destiny's all about, right? It's part of the fun. Not getting any sleep and staying up till all hours of the night and accomplishing stuff and all that good stuff. So, like you mentioned, Brent, there's a lot to talk about here, man. So, Forsaken is out in the wild, and like I said, it seems like it came up very quickly. Even though we were building to this, and it was weeks and weeks, and we were talking about this. We've been talking about the release of Forsaken for a very long time, and it still feels to me like this came up very quickly. Honestly, it's hard to believe we're already here in this week. It's hard to believe that Forsaken is out in the wild. It's hard to believe that Spider-Man comes out tomorrow. And like the fall season is here, man, and it's on and popping now. But let's get into Forsaken, dude. So just as is typically the case with these things, you've probably put about 3 times the amount of time I have into Forsaken at this point. So I wanna get your early thoughts, man. Overall global impressions. Lay it on me. What are you feeling about Destiny 2 Forsaken? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right now. There we go. Anyways, can't hear Brent. Yeah, thanks, Wolf. I just caught it now. I realized I had the mute on. So
So you've been muted this whole time.
the entire time I've been muted. So that's awesome. As I was talking about earlier, my beard looks like I haven't shaved. I'll do a quick recap of everything I talked about while the mute was on. But haven't shaved. It's been overwhelming with Destiny 2, but in a good way. The last couple nights I've stayed up late, but playing Heroic Strikes after we thought we were going to go to bed. I was like, I'm going to call it a night, and then no, I didn't. So it's been it's been very overwhelming, but like I said, it's in a good way, a way that for Destiny. It hasn't been like this in a long time. And, you know, from what we've played so far, we've done a couple of the missions. We've taken down 2 of the Barons. We took down the Rider, and we took down the Trickster last night with Wolf, who's in the chat. We played quite a bit of Gambit. We played some Crucible last night. We're just kind of like reaching out and touching every area that's available right now that Bungie has adjusted or fixed, which is seemingly everything. And overall impressions, overwhelmed, but man, it's deep, dude. All the extra bounties. Dude, when we go to our Pursuits tab, there's literally 4 or 5 rows worth of bounties now. I mean, you've got bounties from Spider on the Tangled Shore for taking down wanted people. You've got bounties from all the vendors now. On every planet, you have vendors that the vendors like Devram K or Sloan or everybody. They have bounties for you to do to collect resources. There is a lot to do. The other night when we got done playing, I was like, hey, I'll go do these the wanted bounties from Spider. Going into Lost Sectors. Lost Sectors have an actual like worth a value to them now. Like it's actually worth going in there so you can knock out these bounties. But you know, we'll break down things individually here, but overall, dude, early on impressions, very strong. This is very much a Destiny feeling again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you 100%, man. And when you look across the landscape of the Destiny community, it's just right now, Bungie has they've hit a home run with Forsaken. They've hit a home run just out of the park because the community is very, very excited about this update. People are seriously playing this game like insane amounts. Like you'll log on to Destiny 2 and see people like at the level cap and way into the 500s in their power level and just in the dreaming city and doing any and everything that there is to do in this game. And that Destiny community trademark, just that ravenous hunger for this game, that the minute a piece of content drops, you just get in there and you just consume it as much as humanly possible. And that's what's going on right now with Forsaken. All across the Destiny landscape, people both well-known and unknown in the community are on there just grinding and playing this game with every last ounce of their being. And that's what this game's about. That's the feeling that Bungie wanted to bring back. They told us they were going to do that with Forsaken. They told us that this game was going to become that hobby game for you once again. They told us that this was going to be a game you're going to have large amounts of things to do, and there would be no shortage of quests and things for you to sink your teeth into. And they've held true to that in this initial week here. So it's been a great time. I think clearly Destiny 2 is back to where it needs to be right now, and Forsaken just very, very strong first impressions. So Brent, like you mentioned, let's dig a little bit deeper into Forsaken right now. And the first thing I want to start off with is the narrative. So this is one of the things that we had the biggest concerns about going into Forsaken, and for good reason. Over the last 4 years of Destiny, there's very few moments we can point to where we can be like, that was a strong narrative, or that was a story that I enjoyed. You know, we can point to things like the House of Wolves or the Taken King. You'd be like, those are pretty cool stories. I dig those. I can get behind those, and those were a lot of fun at the end of the day. But by and large, the narrative itself has failed to live up to the lore, the honestly incredible lore of Destiny in a sci-fi world that, in my opinion, is basically second to none, especially in the video game space. But with Forsaken, you know, their goal is to now take that very strong lore and build a narrative experience in game that we can all hang our hats on and get behind. So far, with what we've experienced in the narrative of Destiny 2, Brent, Forsaken, how do you think that they've done? Do you think they've succeeded?
Early on, from what I can tell, yes, it's a very good story. It's entertaining. There's a lot of emotions with what happens to Cade, but there were some great scenes early on in the cutscenes, especially the ones with Ikora and Zavala, where they discuss how they're going to handle Cade, or ultimately how they're not going to handle Cade's death. So some really strong elements here, some really good cutscenes. Cade, we saw Cade's battle prior to launch, and it was even better watching it on the big screen and witnessing Cade in his final moments being the badass hunter that we all know that he is. So that was a really, really strong opening. And then, going through meeting Spider and learning about all the bounties we can do, the wanted bounties there. But then once we finally got into the Baron hunt, which took quite a while because we were doing a lot of things, constantly getting sidetracked. But once we got into the Baron hunts, we got to see how diverse these Baron hunts are going to be. I mean, the rider was more vehicle based, and the trickster had some tricks up his sleeve. So it was a very challenging. It wasn't a super challenging battle, but it was unique, and the mechanics were fun on both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, and I agree with you, man. You know, right off the bat, I'm actually very impressed with what we've gotten from the story of Forsaken so far. Uldren Sov is to me an incredibly interesting villain. He's this guy that we don't know exactly what's going on with him yet. Like you mentioned, Brent, we're kind of taking our time, making our way through Destiny. We're getting distracted by a lot of the other things that are in the world, so we're not just focused on beelining from beginning to end in the story. We want to take in the game and consume it as we see fit. But early on, yeah, Uldren Sov is an incredibly compelling villain, primarily because he's an awoken. He's a humanoid type of a figure. He's not just some huge like ghastly monster that we're just trying to pump as many bullets into as possible. Like, this is a guy that we once worked alongside in the first Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that, you know, he was never a fan of the Guardians, so to speak, but at various points throughout Destiny, he's quote unquote been on our side.
Mm-hmm.
The Queen is somebody we've worked with who's been on our side, and we get a very, very compelling scene with him. Basically after the initial scene in the game,
mm-hmm.
that brings up a lot of interesting points that I'm sure that the narrative is going to explore as we go through this.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people, you know, mentioning that they really got into the story of Forsaken. Many people have mentioned this is by far the crowning achievement in terms of narrative success for Bungie up to Destiny at this point. So, dude, I'm really, really excited to dig into the rest of this story and see where it goes. And like you mentioned, when you go through that first part, which by the way, it's exceptionally well done as well. Like the acting is exceptional. Cade misses 0 beats with Nolan North as Cade.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like he's played the character all along, and that's obviously a testament to Nolan, who's an incredibly gifted voice actor. Not only is he sitting there on the other side of you playing your ghost, but he's also playing Cade in that scene as well, and playing two very different sides of the coin and doing it masterfully. So we get to see some really, really good stuff with Cade. Like you mentioned, the cutscenes are just on another level.
Mm-hmm.
Like the craft that's Bungie's always been great at making these cutscenes, but these are probably the best ones they've ever done in terms of what I've seen in the initial portions of Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
We see some really strong stuff with the demise of Cade, like you said, with the Vanguard, with our character just kind of taking the law into our own hands and going out like, well, you know what, Zavala, if you don't want to get involved in this, to hell with you. I'm going to go and take care of this myself.
Mm-hmm.
So we see some really good stuff with that. So with everything that's set up, and with Cade being such a well-loved character, he's the catalyst for all this, and that's the reason that we can get behind all of this stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
Bungie was 100% dead on with that assertion. So yeah, I'm really impressed. And like you mentioned, the Baron hunts, you know, initially are really cool. And from everything I've heard from people that have played this game, it sounds like the Baron hunts just continue to be awesome as you go through this. They're all unique experiences. We're going to see probably a number of different mechanics that are going to come into play as we work our way through each of these. But we knocked a couple of them out, got several of them more to go, and I can't wait to see like where things go from here in terms of this story, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, the most interesting thing is there's that scene where you kind of see Uldren Sov, and you know, there's an appearance of somebody else, and it raises a lot of questions. And I'm, you know, like you said, I really hope they kind of delve into this. I hope he doesn't kind of, you know, become just kind of an afterthought, kind of like how Gaul did until he reappears at the end for a weak ass
Mm-hmm.
battle. Hopefully they're really able to dive deeper into Uldren Sov and what motivates him and what's driving him. And yeah, that if they can nail that, they've gotten everything else. They've got Ikora and Zavala have had good scenes to build up their characters and what they're gonna do. You know, your Guardian can talk, which there isn't a whole lot there. It's not like he's giving like Bill Pullman type speeches, but
he's had one line so far.
Yeah, he's had one. Actually, he's had two. He said Uldren Sov's going
lines
down, and then he says something else, like just one word. But yeah, very, very minimalistic in terms of what he or she has to say. But yeah, I'm really curious to see how they're gonna kind of dive into this story and really open things up. But early on impressions from a narrative perspective, this is as good as it's been so far in Destiny. Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Definitely. So very, very impressed with that. So that's one concern that's checked off the list right now. As far as we can tell, everything is really compelling from a narrative standpoint. Yeah, I don't know what it is about Uldren, man. He's just kind of like a badass to me. I don't know. He just walks around with these like yellow glowing eyes, and just the way he's carrying himself in this game, he's just like running the Barrens. I don't know what it is, man. He's just kind of a badass. So yeah, very very curious to see where things go here. So kudos to Bungie and their developers for putting together a narrative that we can finally get behind with Destiny. Now, Brent, moving on from there, let's talk about some of the other stuff that's going on with Destiny 2 Forsaken here. And the next thing I want to talk about is Gambit.
Yes.
Now, Gambit, obviously, we got a little taste of it on Saturday. Had a really, really good time with it during the 24-hour trials. Like, yeah, this is really cool. Like, this is a mode I can't wait to get into. And, we've got a chance to get in, play a couple matches ourselves. And I can just see myself playing a ton of this mode, man. A ton. Like, this is something that on any given night, I can just be like, I'm not sure what I want to do in Destiny, but I know for sure I want to play Gambit. So, you hop into Destiny, you do some stuff, you get into Gambit, put a few hours into that mode. Just an incredibly fun mode, man. Just the way it seamlessly blends PvP and PvE. I really love everything about it, man. You had some concerns with the shielding that you get when you go over as an invader. I personally really like that. I think it actually works pretty well, and it forces you as a team, like when an invader comes through into your territory, it forces you as a team to stop and be like, all right, we need to find this dude. We need to team up and eliminate him immediately, or he's going to be trouble for us. And the teams that don't do that just get wrecked.
Oh yeah.
When you go over there as an invader and the other team's minding their own business, you're just laying them out with a fusion rifle one by one, like that. Those are the people that need to reevaluate their strategies. But there's so many little strategies in the game, man. We haven't been able to get in there with a full fire team yet to really exploit all the different options that I personally want to try in terms of strategies with Gambit. We've been in there with other people, some good, some not so good, that we've had to deal with. But yeah, just the strategic possibilities, just like I said, the seamless blend of PvE and PvE is something that I can really get behind, man. Gambit has lived up to the hype that it's had up to this point. Cannot wait to play more of that. Your early impressions of our time with Gambit.
First of all, I want to say hello to the people in the chat. Fear the Beard's in there. He says Gambit is great. Wolf loves it as well because he says it's a better experience with the team. So thank you guys, as always, for stopping by and sharing your thoughts. We want to hear your thoughts. So if there's anything we're talking about that you want to chime in on, make sure you sound off, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitch, Mixer, or Facebook. We'd love to get your thoughts, and we'll discuss whatever you have to say about Destiny 2. Yeah, dude, Gambit is a lot of fun. You would have, man, when we first started playing last night, you would think these were the most complex maps because I kept falling into pits everywhere. I was having a difficult time finding my footing. But, yeah, I think the mode is incredibly fun. I think it's incredibly fun. And you know what? I want to take a moment here to give you kudos, Mr. Boyce. Gambit is your mode. I don't think I've ever seen any other mode where you're consistently at the top of the leaderboards. Usually you're kind of like hovering in the bottom somewhere, but you are consistently at the top in Gambit. Guys and girls, round of applause for Mr. Boyce. He is actually really, really, really good at Gambit. So it was a pleasure watching you kind of find yourself in Destiny to finally kind of be a threat on the battlefield. Very, very impressed by your performances in Gambit. But
I'll accept your backhanded compliment.
But yeah, it's a great mode. With the shield thing, I think I just need more time. And like you said, I think it'll be a lot easier if at the time when you're playing with a group of people who aren't communicating, and you sit there and you go up against somebody with a shield and nobody's talking. It's very difficult to drop them, and that's where I think I got frustrated. But as you mentioned, if you're working with your team and you're calling things out, go, he's over here, you can drop him relatively quick. We saw that a couple times later on throughout the matches. So, but yeah, like you said, the strategy that's there, do you hold as many motes as you can get? Do you try to get 15, send over big blockers, or do you constantly send over smaller ones so they can't, deposit any motes, giving or creating the opportunity for them to die in combat and lose all the motes that they've gathered if you get enough blockers and enough enemies surrounding them. So, there's a lot of cool strategies you can do with that, and like you said, if we play as a team, I think we'll discover more of those strategies, but it is hands down the most unique and most exciting mode that's available in Destiny 2 right now. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I really can't wait till we get in there with a group of 4, man. We're like, all right, this is gonna be our strategy, and we're gonna do this, and this. I think one of my favorite strategies right now is to send either a medium or a large blocker over to the other side of the team, and then send your invader over simultaneously. So you send over that big blocker, and then ideally you'd have a group of people on the other side who are on their way towards their bank to put items into their bank, and they get over there and they're like, oh man, there's a giant ogre here. We got to take this thing out so we can deposit moats. At the same time, you're entering the battlefield. You're running over there with your guy. You got a fusion rifle or a shotgun in your hand. You go over there and just start laying people out who are around the bank trying to deal with the ogre because they can't deposit their moats. They lose all their moats, and then it's a huge like tide turning achievement for your team. So I love stuff like that, and there's lots of strategies like that we haven't even had a chance to explore and exploit up to this point. But there's a lot of different things I want to try, and yeah, I can't wait till we can get in there as a full squad, man.
That is a great strategy because, like you said, once you get that big blocker in there, they're telling each other, hey, the big blocker's out, so they're all isolated around that blocker. And if you can get somebody in there with either like a rocket launcher that like the Sins of the Past or something that has cluster bombs, or somebody who has a super ready to go, you can go in there and cause all sorts of havoc, not only wiping them out quickly because they're all in an isolated area, but then you can quickly get across the map and maybe get a couple more shots as they respawn in. So
yeah,
it's an incredibly fun mode. Jacob was in the chat. He says, I'm going to leave because I don't have Forsaken yet, and your conversations are making me more depressed. Jacob, come on, bro. Hang out. We're not going to spoil anything for you, but we are going to make it very difficult for you not to play the game until you pick it up. So, but thanks for stopping by, buddy. We appreciate you.
Yeah. You gotta think about everything, man. You gotta think about what your loadout's gonna look like. You gotta think about which super you're gonna use, and not only which super, but when do you use it. Do you use it on your ads on your side of the team, just create a lot of moats quickly for your guys that you can deposit, or do you save that, run over as an invader, and unleash your super on the other team when they're waiting over there for it? And there's different things you can think about, like Golden Gun, for instance, is a great invasion super to use. You go over there, you pop that thing, you just start laying out people. It works very well. On the other hand, you could pull if you're playing as a hunter, pull your knives out and just go over there, wreck a whole group of enemies, and create easily 10 moats that just instantly that people can pick up and go and deposit. So there's a lot of different things. It makes you think about basically every aspect of Destiny, whether it's PvE, PvE, loadouts, anything. It makes you think about everything that encompasses the Destiny experience in one mode in Gambit. So it's really cool, man. The way that they've put it all together, and I can't wait to just get in and play some more of it. What's something else that sticks out to you, Brent? That in Forsaken so far?
Crucible. We played Crucible last night. Yeah, because I hadn't had a chance to actually, I'd played the weapons update, and I played stuff in the PvE setting, but I didn't jump into Crucible last week. So last night we were like, hey, we got to knock out 5 challenges. We got to complete 5 matches for a challenge to get some powerful gear. And so we went in there and played 5 runs of Crucible, and man, fast, frantic, and intense, but above all else, incredibly fun now. Like, Crucible is lit. It is on fire. It is you can, and the time to kill is fantastic. I love it. If I love rocking assault rifles, and for the longest time, assault rifles, I felt like I was going through an entire clip to drop somebody. If you are precise, if you can aim your assault rifle with some skill and go precision shots, you will drop fools quickly, and that's all I want. I want to be able to get around enemies, flank teams, and if I get the drop on somebody and I'm precise, damn it, I want to be rewarded with that, and I am getting that now, and I absolutely love it. But man, I tell you what, man, for Crucible, holy hell, do I love the bow. The bow is an awesome weapon in Crucible. It is great for dropping shields, and if you can be precise, you can drop fools left and right. The bow is incredibly fun if you can pair it up with like an assault rifle or maybe a scout rifle at range, because if you get one bow shot and drop that shield and then switch over to like a fast-firing weapon or a pulse rifle maybe, you can drop the guy quickly. So the bow is very beneficial. It's very useful in Crucible, but overall, Crucible was just high-octane action last night. It was incredibly fun.
Yeah, like if you pop your bow out and you pop that shield and then quickly switch over to like a sidearm and just fire in like 4 or 5 shots really quick, like, yeah, you can drop people quickly with the right strategy and the right hits. And that's something Bungie said they were gonna do, Brent. They were gonna put the emphasis on precision damage, on precision shots in the Crucible in order to get the maximum amount of damage on your enemies. So like you said, if you have a a 450 rounds per minute assault rifle, like something like the Origin Story or Uriel's Gift or something like that, and you can land those precision shots. You're gonna drop people quicker than you were previously, and that goes for all the weapons that you have access to, and obviously part of that is that snipers, fusions, and shotguns are in that second slot now. So any and every time you respawn, you've got ammo in those guns ready to go. So that just in and of itself returns time to kill to a much faster level. It feels great to run around the map with a fusion rifle again and lay people out. I used to do that all the time in Crucible and Destiny 1. Really excited that I can do that again with the Crucible and Destiny 2. Just turn around that corner. Like you just wait for a guy to come around the corner. You've got that fusion rifle charge and you watch him just disintegrate in front of you. It's always a great feeling. Watching somebody just evaporate in front of you after they get hit with a fusion rifle. So yeah, and you mentioned the bow there, Brent. Would you say that this thing is everything you want it to be, maybe even more?
Yeah, dude, it really is. I absolutely love the bow, especially in a PvE setting. I mean, if you can dial up your precision shots, and it's a fun gun or a fun weapon to master, and I love the bow. I'm a huge fan of the one that they give you at the beginning. It's got like explosive tips on it. So if you hit somebody in the head and then the explosion hits it, typically it brings them down completely. So, yeah, the bow has been an incredible experience. I love using it. I think it fits in perfectly with the arsenal of weapons in the game. But now the focus is Wish Ender, dude. I want the Wish Ender, or I think it's the Oath Keepers, the gauntlets for hunters that reduces charge time, and actually you can hold the charge time longer. And I think you can arm your bow quicker. I believe that's what the Oath Keeper does. It's a pretty sweet set of gauntlets, exotic gauntlets.
New exotics?
Yeah.
Sounds nifty, yeah. I know you'll be itching to get your hands on those and and see what those have to offer. So Crucible is great, man. We've only scratched the surface. We've only played quick play so far, so we haven't even got in there and tested this brave new Crucible with the competitive playlist, which is something I'm also looking forward to doing. And they've, of course, as we talked about in the past, they've revamped the ranking system. They haven't completely just wholesale changed it, but they've made some kind of quality of life adjustments to it. So we're going to see different accrual rates in terms of how we get rank points, and won't be as penalizing when we lose and that kind of stuff. So all that stuff is active in the Crucible now as well, which makes it even more fun to get in there and experience everything that mode has to offer. Next thing I want to touch on, Brent, is the new space that we have. So you and I have yet to step foot into the Dreaming City, which is obviously something that we're building towards and really looking forward to. And the early impressions out of the community are a lot of love for the Dreaming City. So I'm really looking forward to getting in there and experiencing that. But we've stepped foot into the Tangled Shore, and I really, really like the Tangled Shore, man. It's a super cool area. Just the whole idea of this just wasteland out in space that's a bunch of strapped together asteroids that you can explore. That's like this just lawless place that the Barons and Uldren have kind of claimed as their own is a super cool idea. And I just love the experiences that we've had on the Tangled Shore so far. I like the barren desert setting. I really like that area with the crashed hive ship.
Yes,
that area is sweet. And we were trying to figure out whether or not that was the Dreadnought. It's a gigantic ship that resembles the Dreadnought. So if it's not the Dreadnought, it looks something like the Dreadnought.
It's
I don't
from
believe
the fleet.
It's the Dreadnought.
It's from the same
from
fleet.
The fleet. yeah, it's from the same manufacturer. So yeah, there's this huge crashed hive ship, and I think clearly there's something over there. There's probably some secrets we've yet to mine or some material we've yet to explore over there. But I enjoyed going over there, exploring the ship, fighting the hive that are over there, and kind of taking part in everything that area had to offer. Obviously we've encountered some of the Barons across the map, and they all have unique settings. I like Spider's area. He's kind of just this cagey businessman who's kind of set up shop in the middle of the map, and he's always making deals with you. He's got things that you want, and he has his ways about it of charging you for these services. So, obviously we have a kind of a symbiotic relationship with Spider, and we're both doing things to benefit each other. But Spider's gonna get his in the end of the day. I really like Spider. He's a cool character, so I like him a lot. Sounds like Ed Asner as well, which is a bonus point for Spider. But yeah, so far everything that we've explored in the Tangled Shore, it's a worthy addition to the play spaces that are available in Destiny 2. What's your early take on the Tangled Shore, man?
I really like the Tangled Shore. I like the way Spider does business. I like interacting with Spider because he's always got something cool to say when you talk to him or when you first visit him for the day. But yeah, the Tangled Shore, there's a lot of areas. There's a Cabal area. There's an area full of Fallen. There's an area full of Hive. So, and and there's some cool stuff in between. There's some hidden areas. I haven't had a chance to really just kind of sit down and just say, look, I'm going to explore every inch, every nook and cranny of this map because there is a lot of stuff in this map. There's a lot of hidden areas, and there's a lot of these platforms that are kind of like rigged together that you can jump and reach higher areas, and there's tunnels and all sorts of different areas that you can explore. So while I've gone around most of the map, I haven't really kind of dove inside the map to kind of find some of the hidden areas. So very, very cool spot, though. I love the presentation. I love the way how it sounds when you're walking on these platforms and no one else is around. You just hear things kind of creaking, and you're not sure if you're on stable surface or not. But it's just a beautiful looking area, and it's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. And yeah, same thing for me. I haven't just sat down and really searched high and wide in every single nook and cranny of that place to see what's lurking underneath the surface. But yeah, I really like the area just in general. The skybox and the reef is incredible.
Yeah.
Like when you look up there and you just see that purple atmosphere and everything that goes with that. When your ship's flying in orbit above the reef, like that screen looks awesome. Just the reef is just a super cool place. It was always a cool place to visit in Destiny 1. It was never an area where we got to do anything outside of the Prison of Elders, but being able to actually go to the reef and see everything that has to offer has been super cool, and I really, really dig it. So Brent, anything else that sticks out to you that we haven't mentioned yet from Forsaken?
I just touched on it earlier, but I love the way that bounties, that's specifically the ones that Spider has for the wanted villains that littered throughout every planet, and how a lot of them are tied to lost sectors. It's just really cool to finally have a reason, like a real reason outside of the faction rally, to actually go into these lost sectors, explore them, and see who's waiting inside, because there's wanted villains in many of these lost sectors that count towards these bounties, and you're getting really good legendary gear. I mean, by just that one night when I knocked out all those bounties. After everyone got off, I knocked off like 10 of them, or however many ones you could do before the 440s. I think there's like 8 or maybe 7 or 8 of them, but knocked all those out, and each one was giving me legendary gear that was higher than my level. And that's part of the reason why I'm at level 50 already, and my power level is 503, because just going in there and knocking out all those bounties. And then I started doing the once I got to 440, I did those last 3. Now I'm at 500. I can do the final Spider bounty. I'm really excited to do that one, because you had to be level 500 to get to it. So, but I love that bounty system. I mean, all the other bounties are cool, but I just love the ones that Spider has, because there's so many of them, and it requires you to go out and explore the lost sectors, which are finally starting to have some value to them.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit during Tower Talk in the lead up to Forsaken, just how bounties were going to be a big part of this experience, and that's rang true. So your clan XP, like your clan XP engram that you get every week, it's all tied to bounties. So you have to complete Hawthorne's bounties on a daily or weekly basis in order to get your clan level up for the week. You have to, you want materials on Earth or whatever it is you want, you got to go to your vendor, get the bounties, complete those for the day, and get your materials for the day that you can utilize to upgrade your weapons and whatnot. So bounties have infiltrated every aspect of the game, and they're extremely helpful towards getting the different things that you need for your character. So I love that they're a huge part of the game, and it always gives you something to do, man. Even if you played this game 24 hours straight and you were like, I'm gonna just do every single thing there is to do every single day, like I feel like there's always gonna be a bounty you can go and pick up and do if all else fails at the end of the day. So yeah, so I dig what they're doing with the bounty system as well. Something else I want to get your thoughts on, man, is this new triumphs and collection system.
Man.
That's in the game now. So we know that this was something that was going to arrive with this particular update. We had the update 2.0.0, but the records weren't live until Forsaken went live. So we see this very robust collection and triumph system, man. Want to get your early thoughts on this as well.
I like that it's there because there's a ton of them. There are a ton of those things you have to knock out. My only issue with it right now, and it's more of a me problem because I'm too busy just wanting to get back into the action, is I haven't really taken a lot of time to read these triumphs, really read what they're about or what they're in. Some of the lore pieces I haven't really spent a lot of time, which is something I want to do. But I go in there and I'll see the indicators like, hey, you got some new pieces here, new triumphs you completed, go and knock them out, and you're good to go. You watch your score go up, and I think that's cool. But I have to spend some time actually really reading into the ones that I'm collecting, why they're important, what I actually did. Because, when you're playing and you're knocking these triumphs, things are popping up on your screen left and right. You don't get a chance to be like, wait, what just happened? What did I do? Literally, it is every 5 seconds, stuff is popping up. You're completing these triumphs. But no, I think that's really cool because you can actually look in there and see what you need to do to get these triumphs. It gives you an idea of what you have to do, and it kind of helps you find where you're going to go tonight. What are we going to do tonight? Hey, I need to knock out these lores. I need to knock out these lore triumphs. Let's focus on these ones here, and let's get to it. And so it kind of guides you into where you're going to go each night, and I really like having that.
Yeah, and that's the one I want to focus on is the lore. So scattered throughout the world are pieces of lore that you can find and scan and add to your lore tab or your lore collections or triumph, whichever one it's under, in your character. And then as you unlock these things, you get this. You basically get a grimoire card every time you unlock one of these lore pieces, and it's right in game. You can go in there and read the story. So there's there's a whole set of lore related to Uldren. There's a whole set of lore related to Varix and whatever the case may be. There's lore for a ton of different things. You unlock these things, you can go in here and read all these different pieces and kind of expand upon the story of these characters. So I love that that's included in the game now, and maybe we'll get a hardcover volume of the lore that's in this game at some point. But I love that they're collecting that stuff in book form as well, because I think it's gonna end up reading really well. But if they're able to maybe add this into the Destiny companion app at some point, you can read it in your spare time. I think something like that would be really, really cool as well. But yeah, I love that the lore is in the game, and they have these specific titles that you can work towards as well. And the Chronicler title is for those of you that explore and unlock all of the lore that's in Destiny 2. You'll be able to earn this title. So I think that's really unique as well. Like when you find that guy in the world that's a Chronicler, that guy's like a badass. He went through every aspect of this game with a fine-tooth comb, found all the lore that there was, and he's got all of these really cool stories in his inventory that you might not have in yours yet. So yeah, I really dig that, man. It's gonna always give us something else to do in that game now.
Absolutely. Fear the Beard gave us a quick update. He said, "Hey, I'm back. I had to get my Spider-Man pre-order in so Piccolo doesn't unfriend me." Actually, Fear the Beard, I think if you start playing the game, he's going to unfriend you because Boyce is not going to touch that game. And Boyce looks away. He's like, "Geez, are we really going here again?" Yes, we are. He is not going to touch Spider-Man, Beard, so just go ahead and play it, and then make sure you send him messages on PSN saying, "Dude, this game is so great." Just keep reminding him. Good man, Beard.
I think you'll be surprised when we go to record the podcast this Saturday night just how much of Spider-Man I will have played.
Yeah, I'll be surprised. All right.
Little tease for y'all there. Just be ready for that.
Disappointment.
So getting back on track here. So there's obviously a ton of stuff that we could talk about with Forsaken Brent. Like we could dig into all the nitty gritty stuff. I think we've touched on a lot of the global overarching stuff. But just overall, man, a really, really exciting update to this game, and this is the update that Bungie needed. You and I have been playing this game nonstop for the last few months, and we know that Destiny was in a really good place even prior to Forsaken, but now it's in like the ultimate place that it wanted to be, and we have a very, very solid foundation to build on for the rest of however many years Destiny 2 is going to be around and into whenever Destiny 3 gets started. So this update's been incredible so far, and I think the community is rallying behind it as such. I want to shift gears slightly here, Brent, and anything of concern in this game right now. So there's so much positive to talk about. There's so many great things going on. Anything stick out to you as concerning in the early going stages here?
Nothing glaring. I would like a little bit more detail on why the Masterwork cores are so damn hard to come by. And it almost, the way the Master Core system works now, it's very difficult to sit there and say, yeah, I'll rank up this year one exotic or this year one weapon that I love because it costs so many damn cores. And you need cores to rank up your new stuff as well. So, and cores are just very, very difficult to come across at this time. But I mean, if that's to kind of gear people towards using the new weapons, the new armor sets, which I understand because the new weapons have the roll system that has all the perks that are rolling. The armor has perks. And so, I mean, I can understand why they'd want people to focus on them because that's where the real nitty gritty is going to come into play when you're dressing your guardian and getting ready for certain events. Is looking at all those details, certain details that aren't on the year one weapons and armor. So that's the only reason why I could think about it. And then obviously the only other concern, is the same concern that followed after Destiny 2, the vanilla campaign. I mean, a lot of hype behind that. It was super fun to play through, but then when we got to the end. It was a disappointing narrative, and obviously, it's been disappointing narrative is synonymous with Destiny. I mean, it's always been kind of a thing. But we're starting off strong here, but there's always a concern that's going to let us down the end. But a lot of people have talked about that it's fantastic all the way through, so I'm excited about that. Just hopefully it's the same for everybody. And then will we constantly have stuff to do months down the road? And with the annual pass, I think we will, so that's not too much of a concern now. But any glaring issues I can think of? No, man, nothing that really stands like, oh my God, this needs to be fixed, other than the damn Titan shoulder charge in Crucible. All right, Wolf, I know you're thrilled about it. I know you love it, and that's great and all, but that needs a little tweaking.
Yeah, dude. So we were talking about this last night. I was getting wrecked left and right by Titans with this move, and a lot of this I think we can trace back to the insurmountable skull fort. So this helmet recharges your melee on a kill. And if your shoulder charge has a one-hit melee kill, basically you're constantly having a shoulder charge available to you that you can unleash on people. So obviously you can see why this would be a problem in the Crucible. It's obviously great fun for Titan players. It's a lot of fun in PvE for them as well, I'm sure. But man, when you are not a Titan in the Crucible right now and you're rocking the insurmountable skull fort and just wrecking the squad with your melees, you're like, all right, this is getting out of hand. Like, we gotta do something about this. So the Striker Titan is an absolute nightmare in the Crucible right now. That thing with the he's got the Superman Titan, the Superman variation of the Striker, the one that flies around. Like, he's got that mini kind of flying attack where you can jump up in the air and crash down on people, and that's just your like normal melee attack, and that thing's nasty. So there's a lot of nastiness going on with Titan melees right now. I would imagine that in the future they'll probably look at that in some respect, like maybe instead of completely charging the melee, maybe you'll get half of it back on a kill or something along those lines to maybe try and balance that out a little bit. But for the time being, like, Titans, man, you guys are having a ball running around just shoulder charging the hell out of me. So we'll look forward to dealing with that a little more in the update. Yeah,
but, Wolf's in the chat. He loves it. Fear the Beard said leave the Titans alone, but he also said I ran into someone using that earlier today, and I agree. That helmet will be getting tweaked. So hopefully not. I don't want them to take it away completely. I mean, Titans, I want them to have something special too. But I mean, it just seems like that's a bit much. But like you said, we'll see how Bungie addresses it. I mean, maybe they'll buff warlocks and hunters in certain ways too, because that's one thing they've always done. Whenever they discover the meta, they try to bring everything else up around it better and make it better to compete. So it evens things out. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, it's been an interesting change to the philosophy here in Destiny 2. I think that's something they've really strove towards, especially after Curse of Osiris and some of the feedback from the community. It's been like, hey, we want to feel more powerful. We want our Guardians to be powerful. So a lot of what they've done over the last, 6, 8, 9 months, whatever the case may be, they've taken things that are very powerful and, like you said, bring up the other things around them instead of nerfing that particular thing into the ground or just making it irrelevant. They've still kept for the most part these things very powerful and brought up other things around it. So if we take that philosophy and kind of, I think we can glean like maybe where this would go at some point, and maybe it would be a case where kind of similar to what they had to do with the Worm Husk crown, where when you dodge you don't just instantly get all your health back, you get a particular chunk of it or whatever the case may be. Like, that's something I think that they might look at some point with this, and maybe you get like half of your melee back or whatever the case may be.
Right.
So yeah, we'll keep our eye on that. But like you said, for the time being, hey, Titans, it's your playground, man. Go out there and have a ball and wreck us poor hunters and warlocks, and we'll curse you guys to the high heavens. So yeah, like you mentioned, Brent, there's nothing like overtly concerning about Forsaken right now, which is crazy to say, right? I mean, this is a game where we always have something to talk about, and yeah, there's different things that we can nitpick even with Forsaken right now. But this game's in a really really good spot right now. I mean, just early impressions would be that Destiny is probably in the best place Destiny's ever been in its history right now. So it's in a very very good spot. But I agree with you. My personal main concern right now is with the economy of the game, specifically with things like masterwork cores and with planetary materials and things that are required to update these guns. Like I get that they want upgrades to be meaningful, and a lot of this is just going to have to be an adjustment on my part, because in Destiny 2, up to this point, it's always been, all right, I have a new item. It's more powerful than the item I have, but I really like this item. I'll infuse it into it really quick and be on with my way. You spend a few legendary shards, no skin off your back. You just keep going about your business. So it's really, it's going to be a mentality adjustment as we get into the early parts of Forsaken here. Like, look, these things are using materials that are finite. I don't have an infinite number of Dusklight shards like sitting in my inventory right now. So I've really got to be cautious with what I choose to upgrade. So something like the Crimson, which is an incredible hand cannon that I still love to use here in the early part of Forsaken, like that's something I want to make sure is updated, and that comes with my character. But outside of that, I really need to think about the things that I want to upgrade. So yeah, here's a gun I really liked in year one, but do I want to bring that with me right now because it's so damn expensive to do so. So it's so on the one end it's cool because you now have to think a little more strategically about how you want to upgrade your character, how you want to take it from here. And I do think that probably part of this was that, hey, there's a lot of new stuff that's going to be dropping in Forsaken. Like, you guys should definitely get in there and check that out and not just latch on to your year one stuff. But even the Forsaken stuff like requires masterwork cores to upgrade and all that kind of stuff as well. So so at the end of the day, I do think that they will get in here and probably tweak the economy a little bit. Maybe they'll require less masterwork cores for you to up. Some of these things, it's like what, 4 or 5 master cores to upgrade an item, which is just to simply infuse an item, which seems absurd that you'd have to use these masterwork cores. And like you mentioned, not only are we don't have just an infinite number of these from our time with Destiny up to this point, but they've severely impacted the drop rates of masterwork items. Whereas in Destiny 2 vanilla, like 50% of the time it seems like you would go in there and you get a masterwork item from Raoul or whoever. Now I don't know if I've even gotten a masterwork item since I've been playing Forsaken. It's they've been a lot more rare to come by, and seemingly every single thing that you update in the game requires a masterwork core of some sort. So I do think that they're gonna have to look at that. And then the planetary materials as well, requiring 25 planetary materials every time you want to infuse something seems like a bit much. You can only do 3 bounties from the planetary vendor at a time, and they give you 10 planetary materials each. So essentially that's one item you can upgrade right there with those bounties. So you get 30 from there, and you can use 25 of them to upgrade an item, and those bounties only refresh every 4 days. So it seems a little bit much in terms of what they're requesting from planetary materials. I think in the future here we might see that go down to maybe requiring 10 of those to update instead of 25. I think that's maybe be the good compromise there. I do like that the planetary materials are useful again and they're part of the economy. So I don't want them to change that, but I do want them to maybe look at lowering the price on the stuff a little bit. So obviously we've got to see how all this plays out in the systems of the game over the next few weeks. But just early on, I feel like this is something that we're going to be talking about a couple weeks down the line that maybe they're going to want to take a look at. As far as like other just like nitpicky things, one of the things I'm not a huge fan of is that they've taken the perk descriptions out of the main menu of your character. So like when you hover over your gun, for instance, in vanilla Destiny 2, you would go in there and you would see a perk in the description of what it does. Now you have to drill down into your character to see what that perk does. And like I get it. It's not a huge deal, and this is like it's a very nitpicky stuff. But just I don't know. Just from a presentation standpoint, I liked the perk description right there on the main menu, like the main perks that you have. So I do hope that they revisit that as well. Just doesn't look as good to me either as well. It's just they got this big like box, and it's just. They just fill it with a perk that's it's kind of weird looking.
Right.
But yeah, I do hope they do something with that. And something else I want to talk about too, Brent. And this is something we've talked about a lot with Destiny over the years. But just the challenge of the campaign. we've talked about this over and over, but it would be great for those of us that have played the earlier versions of Destiny to have some type of a heroic version of the story to make our way through, especially when we have a full fire team. When we have 3 people on a fire team and go into one of these encounters, the end result is never in doubt, ever.
Right.
Like I don't ever go into one of these missions or one of these battles fearing that we're going to lose. Like there's just no thought in my mind that we're going to lose this battle. I do feel like in a weird way the campaign was designed with the single player in mind, and it's been that way since the beginning of Destiny 2. Like they wanted to make a game where you could be a solo player and still have fun with this game. So I get that and I love that, but I would like to see either the game scale or give you an option to have a more challenging version of the story to play through. Like these Baron missions are really, really cool, and there's different mechanics that go into it. And I have to imagine if I went into that Rider encounter by myself and went up against the Rider, that would have been a much different battle than the one that we had, which is you, me, and Wolf flying around like crazy people and just shooting everything in sight until the Rider is eventually dead, and there was no challenge at the end of the day. So it's something that's, hopefully if we keep beating the drum for it, we'll see in the future. Like I get that the point of the story is not to be like this big challenging thing that you wrap your heads around, but I just like a little bit of challenge as we're going through the narrative, just a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's asking for like a Nightfall challenge difficulty. I mean, just something that'll give us a little pushback, so it's not just like running through the game. And because I think you don't appreciate missions enough if it's super easy. You don't appreciate the mechanics that go into. You don't appreciate the setup that leads up to it, because you're just kind of like blowing through it. Where if there are those challenging choke points or those big set pieces that are a little bit more challenging, those are memorable experiences. That's what makes those missions. That kind of gives those missions its own personality or its own reputation as the years go on. Like, man, do you remember the Rider mission? Man, that thing was incredibly difficult. We don't have that because, like you said, we just run through there. You, Wolf, and I are just driving around, lighting, blowing everything up until the Rider's dead. And that was it. Same with the Trickster. I mean, it was a cool there were some cool mechanics there, and it was cool making our way through the Trickster's base until we reached the final battle. But at the end of the day, it was just like at no point where we were just like, man, we might have to use the save point and come back tomorrow, guys. It never was in doubt.
Yeah. So, and obviously, there's lots of stuff in Destiny that does do that to you. Something like the Whisper mission, Nightfalls, raids. Like the end game content does that stuff to you, but would like just a little bit of that in the narrative. I don't think that's too much to ask for. Maybe at some point, man. Some point we'll get our wish. Be like, hey, here's a heroic version of the story for you guys to play through right off the bat. Those of you guys have been grinding from day one. Give you a little bit more challenge than you're accustomed to. Like, I would love that. Just think back even recently to the Solstice of Heroes. Like, if you were to go in and do one of those missions by yourself, that was incredibly challenging.
Yeah, that was really tough.
When you go in there with a group, not as much, but yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Like being able to go in there and experience that stuff in some kind of a challenging way. So, so we're on the same page there, dude. No like huge concerns with the game right now. It's little stuff that we can nitpick at. There's always going to be something that can be worked on with Destiny, but man, this game is in an incredibly good spot right now. Incredibly good spot. The community's loving it. Just everybody's just having a really, really good time with this game, and just can't wait to continue to just play through this over and over. So overall, Brent, anything else that you want to say about Forsaken 2 at this point?
No, I think we've touched on it pretty good so far. And like I said, we'll come back again once we finish the campaign and visited the Dreaming City. And we'll do like a full recap at some point. But early on, man, everything's beautiful right now.
Yeah, it's crazy too. We've barely scratched the surface really of what this game has to offer, and we've spent several hours in this game, several hours in this game over the last few days that it's been released. And man, we haven't even like just cracked the chisel into the rock yet, and there's a lot left to explore in this game, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Got
a question from the chat. This one's directed at you from our good buddy Optic Ghost. He said, here's this question, man. You ready for it? Will there be a midnight launch stream for Spider-Man?
Not by myself.
No. Okay. Just wanted to clarify. Thanks, Optic. No, we're not sure what's going on tonight. Frankie might later on, but no promises. But at this time, I would say there will not be a Spider-Man stream tonight.
Yeah, I would not count on it. I personally purchased the collector's edition of the game, so I got the physical version, so I'll have to wait for that to arrive on my doorstep tomorrow. I did not go for the digital version of it because there's no way I'm missing out on the collector's edition for Spidey. So apologize for those of you that may have been hoping for a midnight stream, but Not from this doggy here. Not
Ever.
like I said, maybe. Yeah. Stop it. So let's move on from there, Brent. There are a few other things that we wanna touch on in the world of Destiny here this week, along with the release of Forsaken. So one of the things I want to highlight is this Bungie rewards program. So this kind of snuck out earlier this week, and I really dig this, man. So this is from the Bungie blog. Last week, Moments of Triumph came to a close to make way for the launch of Destiny 2 Forsaken. Today, we're happy to announce that we're introducing a brand new rewards program built around Forsaken and linked to the Bungie store to give you more ways to celebrate, commemorate, and show off your in-game accomplishments. We're calling it Bungie Rewards. It kicks off today with Destiny 2 Forsaken, and the first offer is something we don't think you'll want to miss. Any player who signs up by opting in and verifying their email and completes the Destiny 2 Forsaken campaign by the end of September will receive a free digital download of the Destiny 2 Forsaken original soundtrack. 110 minutes of music plus 2 bonus tracks from the Whisper of the Worm quest that are only available through this offer. That's sweet. So the not only are we incredibly excited that the Destiny 2 Forsaken soundtrack is out now and it's epic as with all the Destiny 2 music, but we're actually going to be able to earn it for free just for completing the campaign, and we get 2 bonus tracks from the Whisper of the Worm. That's sweet, man. Also available at the Bungie store, along with a new line of Forsaken-themed goods, is the special edition of the Destiny 2 Forsaken original soundtrack, which includes the Forsaken soundtrack, as well as Curse of Osiris and Warmind soundtracks for a total of 190 minutes of music available in multiple audio formats. The special edition also includes a code for the Songs of the Forsaken in-game emblem. So that's something that they like to do with their items on the store there. So as the season of the Outlaw rolls on, Bungie Rewards will offer additional collector's items to earn, acquire, and unlock that are uniquely crafted to commemorate various tiers of in-game accomplishments. And they gave us a little preview, Brent, of what we can expect from these rewards. So as we mentioned, the first tier for completing the game is the Destiny 2 Forsaken original soundtrack with the bonus tracks, which I think is a sweet reward, man. That's a good way to start this off. And we've got little hints about what's to come. So the next reward has something to do with the Ace of Spades. The actual goal is acquire the Ace of Spades. And from what it seems like, that's going to be a pretty challenging quest when that's all said and done. Ace of Spades looks sweet though too, man. I was watching a stream today. They have a guy in the Crucible rocking the Ace of Spades. That thing looks wicked. So cannot wait to get my hands on that. That's going to be a sweet hand cannon. But you're going to get something. Maybe we were thinking maybe a unique ornament that you can attach to the Ace of Spades for completing this. Win glory ranked matches while at rank legend in season 4. So that's obviously a huge ask. getting to the legend rank in glory and then winning matches at that level. So that I imagine there's going to be something sweet associated with that. And then they continue to get more challenging from there. So complete all of the lore triumphs, complete all the destination triumphs, complete all of the Dreaming City triumphs, complete all the Gambit triumphs, complete all lifetime valor and glory rank triumphs in the Crucible. And then there's a classified one at the end there, which is yet to be revealed. Maybe something to do with a prestige version of a raid or something like that. I think it could fill in that final slot there. But clearly these get more and more challenging as they go up the line here. And those what do they call them, medals, or what do they call those, seals? Is that what they're calling
seals? Yeah, or badge. Yeah, seals or badges, one of those two.
Yeah, so these like seals that you accomplish are incredibly challenging and they require a ton of effort. So being able to achieve those is going to get you some sweet rewards from the Bungie store. But yeah, I really want to make this happen, man. I want to get in here and claim these rewards and see what they're all about. Because if they're anything like this first reward, which is the Forsaken soundtrack, which is something I'm totally behind, then I think these are things that we're going to want to get our hands on. But what do you think about this, Brent? What do you think about attaching real-world rewards to our in-game accomplishments in Destiny 2?
I think that's awesome, man. It's just another way for Bungie to give back to a community that grinds, man. This is a grinding community, and for these folks, for them to give another set of rewards or some more initiative or incentive is really, really cool. I think this is great. And Fear the Beard in the chat just said, I got my ace today. The thing is sick, and the quest does have some challenge. Fear the Beard has the ace, dude. Beard
doesn't play around, dude. We know that. We know Beard's in there. We know Beard's putting in work, and Beard is not playing around. But yeah, that gun, Brent, that is a gun that looks like we're gonna want to own that gun. That gun looks absolutely disgusting, man. So I know Beard is out there wrecking people. There's no doubt. So yeah, we'll at some point want to get our hands on it. All right, so moving on from the Bungie rewards, a couple things you want to touch on from this week at Bungie. Let's spend a couple minutes talking about this raid, Brent. So we've talked about this the last few weeks about the Last Wish and our excitement around being able to get in here and experience this new pinnacle activity. Of course, this takes place in the Dreaming City, so you'll have to have that unlocked. And then once again, 9/14, 10 a.m. Pacific time, the Last Wish will go live. So this is Friday. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. The race for World's First goes live. And how about this, dude? And not only are they doing the race for World's First, but according to the Bungie blog, when Last Wish becomes available, the first fire team of 6 to complete the raid will have the opportunity to acquire real-world trophies for each teammate, commemorating their accomplishments. And the picture they have is like a WWE World Championship belt with the raid Last Wish on it and your name like emblazoned on this gold logo.
Yeah.
How sick is that, dude?
Dude, that thing is badass. Like on the left, yeah, it's got the year on both sides of it, and then it says, World's First, Last Wish, and then player name. So it would be like, Piccolo 930 right there. That is, dude, that again, this is just a real cool way for Bungie to show their appreciation outside of just in-game stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is awesome. This is really sweet. This is an actual physical belt that a team's going to get.
Yeah. And this just goes more towards the mission that they've started ever since the release of Curse of Osiris, right? We saw some of this even with the release of Warmind, when they had that secret quest in there to go out and find the javelin that was out in the world. So somebody got their hands on like a real life javelin that they created, just hid out in some forest in New York. So I mean, it's just Bungie's doing some crazy stuff. I love the way that they're interacting with the community right now. Like they're very communicative with their community managers and with the Bungie blog every week, and all the information that they continue to disseminate to us. They had the community summit, which shaped the way that Destiny has transformed over the last few months, and they're just I just really get the sense that they're listening to their fans and creating the game that we want with Destiny. They're really taking the feedback to heart, and I think Forsaken is a true testament to that, dude. I mean, it's built on the feedback of the community. This is literally like if we were to like roll out like a sheet, like a scroll, and it just rolled down to the floor with a wish list of the stuff that we wanted for Forsaken.
Check.
Bungie basically did all that stuff in this game. It's incredible, man.
Everything they've done so far is geared towards the hardcore fan. I mean, the Bungie reward system geared towards the hardcore fan. A World's First belt geared towards the hardcore players that grind to get raid ready in just over 10 or just under 10 days time. So I mean, yeah, they've turned their focus back to the community that supported Destiny 1, that helped make Destiny 1 great, and is now making Destiny 2 great again as well. So it's just Bungie knows who the most important people are, and that is the hardcore grinders looking for a hobby, and everything they're doing is catering to that group now.
Yeah, and when they realized that and they made that paradigm shift and they were like, all right, we're going to buckle down. We're going to make this game the game that the hardcore fans want to get behind again, and we're going to let their enthusiasm for this game carry this, throughout the video game industry and into maybe more casual players' hands. Like once they realized that, like this thing completely turned around, man. And you just get on Twitter and you read a post or a comment from anybody that's invested in this community, and they're just incredibly excited about this game. And if you're not a fan of this game, like how can you not read that stuff and be like, man, I have to be missing something. Like, I have to go out here and experience this game. So I think maybe even more so than what they started with initially with the release of Destiny 2 and trying to bring in more players and expand their player base and appeal to a crowd that's not as hardcore as your typical Destiny fan. Mm-hmm. I think even more so with Forsaken, they might be able to tap into that crowd just based off the enthusiasm and the excitement for their hardcore community. So I think this is going to end up being a kind of a win-win situation for everybody.
Optic just said this in the chat. He just simply said, Bungie has earned my respect. And I don't know what Optic's position was. Part of this, I don't know if he felt slighted by how Destiny 2 launched and how, Bungie had focused more on the casuals. But there are a lot of people I've seen on social media, specifically Twitter. There's people that, other people are retweeting that are saying stuff like, I gave up on Destiny a long time ago, and I said, this was never going to be the game we wanted it to be. And you got so many people out there who are mature enough to be like, you know what? I was wrong. Bungie has righted the ship. Everything is where it needs to be now. They've recognized the error of their ways. They've taken the correct steps to remedy all these issues, and people are just like, hey, look, Bungie deserves some props here because they could have botched this, man. They could have seriously botched this, but initially, at launch, this has brought everybody back. I mean, dude, you and I were talking about our friends list is just all Destiny 2. A lot of people who swore off the game. They heard about what Bungie had done. They heard all the hype either through social media or through word of mouth from friends. And everyone's like, you know what? I got to see this for myself. Because at the end of the day, dude, when people were pissed, when people were disappointed and voicing their displeasure, it all came from the same spot for every single person. Their love for Destiny. They want Destiny to be a certain way, and all that anger and all that hate and all the trash talking. As negative as it was, and as much as it like pushed the community to the brink, it all comes from one place, and that's a place of love for Destiny, because we all know what we want this game to be. We love this game. We want to play this game every single day, and that's what Bungie is doing now. They're giving us that game, and that's why so many people are back into it. Yeah,
I agree 100%, man. So I feel like they've learned a lot of lessons over the last few months, and they've just been on a roll, man. Mm-hmm. Ever since Warmind. And they've just been rolling with these updates and with what they're planning to do with this game. So I'm just incredibly excited about the future of this game and what we're going to see in this, man. And I'm really, really excited for what's going to come out of year 2 and everything that's going to come from this annual pass and everything that they're planning. I just don't see that there's going to be a point in time over the next year when I'm not going to have something to do in this game, which is exciting, man. So one other thing we want to touch on, Brent, there's some interesting stuff in This Week at Bungie referring to the challenge system. So this is something worth going over because we've had questions about this ourselves, and I think it's a little clearer now after what's in the update here. So as the Bungie blog reads, with the release of Destiny 2 Forsaken, challenges have become a new avenue for players to acquire powerful rewards. And specifically you, Brent, you now know that the breadth of what the system has to offer, because once you hit level 50, the challenge system changes dramatically. You have access to not just legendary items anymore. You have access to powerful engrams that are going to help you level up your character and make your way towards level 600. You've got new bounties, just a wealth of things that are available to you once you hit that level cap. So there are 2 types of challenges, daily and weekly. Now, these types behave a bit differently when it comes to resets. Right. Weekly challenges are stuff that we can easily track, Brent. They follow the weekly reset, and they reset each Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time or 1 p.m. Eastern. Daily challenges, on the other hand, offer a unique challenge each day, and they reset every 4 days. So this is the confusing part. So it's a daily challenge, but it's not daily. It's like every 4 days. Right. So it's a daily challenge that's available to you. So maybe they need to think of a different thing to call these things, because they're not really daily challenges. So I think this is where the confusion comes in. But here are some examples of what we're talking about here. So the first daily strike challenge was offered on Tuesday, September 4th. So the next daily strike challenge will arrive with a reset on Saturday, September 8th. The first daily Gambit challenge was offered on Wednesday, September 5th. So the next daily Gambit challenge will arrive with a reset on Sunday, September 9th. This is something else I think they're going to have to change. Like, they can't have all of this stuff on different days. They should update this stuff on, like, they should all update it on Tuesday, then they should all update on Saturday. Like, they should have these weekly things on a cadence, so you're not logging into the game and wondering, okay, is this the day that Gambit updates? Or, oh, no, wait, this is a different day. So I think they should definitely look at that, because this is confusing. However, players will retain daily challenges until they are completed. If a player completes the daily strike challenge on Friday, September 7th, the challenge will be offered once more on Saturday, September 8th. If the player does not complete the daily strike challenge by Saturday, September 8th, they will not receive a duplicate challenge. Instead, the challenge will be reset and progress will be cleared. So the way I understand this is, say you go to the Drifter, you get your 4 Gambit bounties. You've got 4 days to complete those daily challenges. After 4 days, if you haven't completed any of those challenges, they will remain in your inventory, but your progress will be reset on them, and you won't be able to add an additional version of that same challenge to your character. You'll be able to access the other challenges that you haven't completed yet and do new ones of those, but any ones you haven't completed will roll over into the next reset, but they will be their progress will be reset. So they also mentioned, fear not, will be creating a calendar to be featured on help.bungie.net to lay out how the system works. So that's interesting that they're gonna have a calendar. Hopefully they can add that to the app at some point. I think having that on hand in the companion app would be very useful. But let me get your thoughts on this, Brent. Challenges and resets. Do you feel a little bit better about how this is all working now? Do you agree with me that they need to maybe get in here and tweak a little of this because it's a little confusing?
Yeah, they just need to tweak the wording on it. I think they need to come up with something else other than daily, because obviously daily means daily to everybody, and daily means every day. So they definitely have to tweak the wording on that. But I love the premise of it. I love the concept behind it. I mean, you've got your weekly challenges, but you have daily challenges that will reset sooner than the weekly challenge. So you're essentially you have chances to earn more powerful gear. So, I mean, that's just more powerful gear. Everyone's happy about that. Nobody's going to complain about it. They just need to reword things and kind of explain it a little bit better. And like you said, get that calendar up, have that added to the application so you can pull up the app on your phone, see what you got to do tonight or tomorrow or tonight, this morning, whenever you play. But, no, I think it's a great idea. They just need to reword it.
Yeah, I agree. I think at the end of the day, too, man, if we need a calendar to like keep up with all this stuff, maybe we need to look at a little bit deeper into this and figure out a way to make it a little bit easier, so we don't have to have a day planner next to us as we're trying to figure out like when the resets are gonna happen.
Right.
So yeah, maybe we can look into that. So yeah, so now we have a little bit more info on challenges. Few last things we're gonna touch on here, Brent, in terms of some issues with the game right now. So obviously, with any new game release, specifically one like Destiny that's always online, there's gonna be issues that crop up and things that need to be adjusted. But I think you'd agree with me in the fact that, you know, over the last 4 years with Destiny, this has been a game that's been very technically impressive, and for all of the things that could go wrong with something like this that's always online, this game has been very, very sound, and there's been really, at the end of the day, very few issues that have held us back from being able to enjoy this game, even on like a launch day. Like, yeah, there might be server queues and it might take you a few minutes to get in there initially, but once you're in there, you're in, and it's kind of an afterthought. So it's kudos to Bungie for just always putting out a really technically sound product in Destiny over the years.
Yeah, and I mean, this is an ambitious game. It's going to continue to be an ambitious game. There's a lot of moving parts. And, you know, they can do Q&A testing all they want, but there's with so many things going on, you know, occasionally there are going to be things that slip through the cracks, but that's what makes the community so great, is they're quick to let Bungie know, you know, hey, look, hey, this is not working. And then they go into the forums, they go into the feedback, and they say, hey, look, we got multiple reports of this, time to identify the problem. And they're very, very good at that. And like you said, we see this list of known issues here, very short list, and you know, it's stuff that they'll address quickly. So like you said, kudos to them for as many moving parts that overlap one another. They do a pretty good job of keeping these sort of things at a minimum. Yeah,
definitely. So as far as what's coming up or what's going on in terms of things we need to keep in mind for updates and issues with the game right now. So next Tuesday, or this upcoming Tuesday, September 11th, a new hotfix will roll out. So that's 2.0.2. which will, I'm not sure exactly what's going to be included in here, but I'm sure a couple of these issues that are on this list are going to be included in this hotfix. But it'll start rolling out at 9 a.m. Pacific time. At 10 a.m. Pacific time, online players who have not installed the hotfix will be removed to the login screen at the next activity completion. And at 2 p.m. Pacific time, or 5 p.m. Eastern, all remaining online players who have not yet installed the hotfix will be removed to the login screen to install the patch. Now, Brent, if I'm reading this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong here, it sounds like there won't be any downtime with the game. Is that accurate?
That's my understanding.
It sounds like at some point you're just going to have to remove yourself from the game world, update the patch, and then you can log right back in. It doesn't sound like there's going to be any like extended maintenance or downtime for the game. If I'm reading this correctly. Typically they tell you, hey, the game's going down at this time, it'll be back available at this time. Doesn't sound like the case here, so don't quote me on that. From the verbiage that's in the update here, that sounds like what we can expect. Then some issues with the actual editions of Forsaken. So some stuff in here that's worth talking about. So the standalone Forsaken expansion has been there's been an issue with purchasing that on PS4 and Xbox One for some players, so they are working on that issue. This is something that I'm particularly interested in, that I know a lot of people have questions about, but the digital deluxe items and Cade's exotic stash. So if you bought the digital deluxe version of the game, there's a set of items that are included in there. If you pre-order the game, Cade's exotic stash has another set of items. Both of those sets of items will not be available until after completing the final Forsaken mission.
Right.
So the digital deluxe items, it sounds like they'll be awarded to you after you complete the final mission and return to orbit. Cade's exotic stash will be awarded to you after you complete that and return to Amanda Holiday in the tower and grab what's available for Cade. By the way, if you have not visited Amanda Holiday, like she doesn't have like a indicator or anything in the tower right now, but if you go talk to her, she's got some really, really good stuff to say about Cade, and she's like very emotional about the loss of Cade. So I'd highly recommend that you go over and talk to her and see what she has to say. But I thought that was very strong, and just another one of like the really cool things about the world of Forsaken. Like, there's these little things everywhere that if you just keep your eyes open, you're gonna find lots of really good stuff in this game, and that's one of them that I recommend people check out. Mm-hmm. Then there's also been an issue with the not an issue, but with the annual pass, Brent. This is something we were wondering about. We logged into Destiny 2 Forsaken and we had 1,000 silver sitting in our inventory. We're like, where the hell did this come from? They're just gifting this to everybody, but apparently those who purchase the annual pass will be gifted 1,000 bonus silver as part of their purchase. So because we purchased the edition of Forsaken with the annual pass, the bonus silver will be included in that, and that's why we have it in our inventory now. So it all makes sense now.
Nice.
Questions being answered. As far as other known issues, Cade's will quest to receive proper Gambit kill credit for the Ace of Spades quest line. Players must defeat an invader 5 times with a hand cannon. So this is one of the things that seems like it's going to be difficult for this quest. You have to kill an invader 5 times with a hand cannon. Invaders are powerful, so that's going to require some teamwork, I think, to get that part of the quest step. The Traveler's Chosen sidearm cannot be dismantled or stored in the vault, or there's an issue for some people. Players are encouraged not to retrieve this weapon, as it will remain in their kinetic weapon slot until a fix is deployed. There's an issue with being able to claim the limited edition Triumph in the game. That's something that you and I have experienced. They're aware of the issue, and they're working on figuring out a way to fix that. And players who use the character boost may not be able to access Year 1 adventures and won't be able to unlock previous campaign triumphs on that character. So maybe think twice right now before you use that character boost. Not sure if it's gonna cause like unfixable issues in the future. Maybe right. Wait for the hot fix to see if that stuff all comes around. Mm-hmm. So other than that, Brent, I think that about sums up what we wanted to talk about this week. Obviously, big focus of the show here was our initial impressions of Forsaken. But yeah, by and large, man, just once again, very big shout out to Bungie for all that they've done with this game over the last 6, 8, 9 months. They've really transformed this thing into the game that you and I and the Destiny community really hope Destiny 2 could be. And I said it before, but this is probably the best position that Destiny as a whole has ever been in. It's just the game's in a really good spot right now. There's so much to do in this game. Like you said, it's basically overwhelming. Mm-hmm. You go into that director screen and there's just things flashing everywhere and you have no idea what to do. You're like, I don't know where to go. And you just you end up just being lost. But there's just so much to do in the game. The game's incredibly fun. The narrative seems like it's really stepped up its game. It's just, I mean, this is everything that we wanted from Destiny 2, man, from what I've seen in Forsaken so far. So I'm incredibly excited about the future of the game, incredibly excited to play some more of it. And yeah, bravo, Bungie.
Yeah, really digging what we played so far. And like I said, we'll talk more about stuff once we actually finish through the campaign. But, how long that's going to take, who knows, man, because like you said, everywhere you go, there's stuff to do now. There's bounties, there's quest lines, there's exotic quests that we got to do. It's overwhelming, but in a way that as Destiny fans want it to be overwhelming.
Yeah. So thank you again to everybody that showed up in the chat. We love having you guys here for Tower Talk. We love to hear your thoughts and interact with you guys on the show each and every week. So we'll be back next week, I'm sure, with another episode of Tower Talk, and we'll continue to talk about our experiences with Forsaken and whatever else Bungie decides to roll out with this game. Our Twitter handles underneath our picture here. If you want to follow us, once again, at the Short Pause is how you follow us as a whole on Twitter. Like the video if you like what we do here. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you always know when we go live. Like I said, we love to have you guys on the show interacting with us. So for Brent, I'm Ben. Thank you guys so much for watching the show this evening. We'll see you guys out there in the Tangled Shore, in the Dreaming City. We'll talk to you next week. Have a good one. See you guys.